somewhere outside the perimeter, somewhere else outside the perimeter, and oh hey, inside the perimeter for a change.
Hey, we've got an innie, not an outie tonight. How about that?
Absolutely. It is the Five Takes podcast.
And we're back.
We are back-ish.
We're back-ish. We're back-ish tonight with what Jennifer affectionately decided to dub the ladies' power hour of the Five Takes, and I love that.
Yes, so welcome to the Ladies Power Hour, or otherwise known as the one where if it wasn't for the Academy, we definitely would have given up 3.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It rhymed. It's not punny, but that's okay. Maybe your thing is rhyming, and Glenn can just stick to the puns.
I thought it was supposed to rhyme.
Yeah,
I've been doing it wrong the whole time.
And mine will also rhyme.
It's not necessarily. It doesn't have to rhyme. He just uses puns to like make rhymes. It just kind of ends up working that way.
I had an alternate version of that was in the multiverse.
You have to stop second guessing yourself because that worked just fine.
Okay, but I like this one too. It was the one where half our roster is out on tour, but the homegrown kids showed they're ready for more.
Ooh, that one's good too. That one's good. I like it. I get it.
So, I don't know. We'll pick one out whenever we upload the episode and decide which one we liked better. Anywho, I'm, in case you haven't been able to tell, I'm Jen, and over here we have Kat, and our special guest star today is the swag fairy herself, Miss Amy Anna Marie. Hi, Amy.
Hello, Jen. Hello, Kat.
Hi.
I don't know what inspired you to have me on this. You've lost your minds. But I'm excited.
Never.
What are you talking about? You're like, let's go talk about something. We do this all day long. It's basically our phone calls.
I know. And you're asking me to like yell at you on a recording now instead of just over the phone in the car. That's
so what you're saying then is a special other kind of segment that the Five Takes is going to do is we're simply going to put you guys on speakerphone and I will record from the phone, and we'll have massive new content that will reach people on a whole nother level. I think that's what we'll do. That's fine.
I definitely think it can make at least 1 or 2 TikToks. I mean, or whatever it is that we make.
It could come through. It could work.
It's a good thing you're both younger than me because I still haven't figured out what the hell this TikTok thing is. I'm old. You're lucky I Facebook. I got on Twitter and apparently started a shit show on Twitter today. So that
was funny. I loved that the message that you sent me. You said I broke the Twitter, and I'm like, and yeah, that's. Mm-hmm.
I have I think made like a grand total of 12 tweet.
I've never done that many. If it makes you feel better, I don't tweet. I don't twit. I think it's dumb. Personally.
Okay, can we just have a second for like the greatest episode of Futurama ever, where they get into the twit war and Bender and Fry, they have this bet like whoever gets the most twits.
It's not the most. They are racing to 1 million followers, Jen.
Right.
Yeah.
And whoever loses has to dive into this like pool of a goat that
No. It's a two-headed goat, but instead of the heads being on the same end, one is on either end.
So it's literally
listen for yourself.
We are going down a rabbit hole.
I don't know why we're going
epic proportions that I don't know if anyone can.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Anywho, I'm not diving into a kiddie pool of goat vomit today, but I did break the Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
taken completely out of context. I think people would be extremely worried as to what's going on with us, and I'm glad that anybody who hasn't seen that particular episode of Futurama would just be going, what in the actual fuck are they talking about? And maybe we might even have some new, we might, send people down that rabbit hole and they might become new Futurama listeners. So or watchers. So if that happens, you're welcome. Moving right along.
Yeah. Anyway, so hey, we had a thing in town this week that was.
Yeah. How was that? I didn't get to attend. I was very bummed.
But you didn't tell us how you broke the Twitter, Jen. Is that later? Is that like a We just supposed to go follow you, or are you going to tell us how
Well,
you?
no. So we'll get into how I broke the Twitter when we talk about the DC match, because I think it had a lot to do with the DC match. And
yeah, that's true.
yeah, the speculation that maybe and quite unfortunately that Pineda might have been the fall guy for one newly departed Greek striker. So I tweeted about that today and got a lot of strong reactions, which was definitely entertaining. And yeah, I'll be right there with you. I am salty and I am bitter, but we can talk about my salty bitterness after we talk about the amazing thing that was Copa America this week and the Copa America opener. And yeah, it was just cool to be in that building. What was your feeling?
There pretty much got their money's worth out of that game. That's for sure.
I mean, it was a pricey ass ticket. You really think that was $350 worth of awesome?
I think so. I mean, did you see some of the things that Messi did? Like, I mean, it was incredible to see that up close. It was great to see Canada actually put up a fight. I mean, you know, I know
they had some very significant chances.
I just like those kind of games. And then Crépeau was just, I mean, coming off a broken leg, coming back, doing all this stuff. Some people questioning him, you know, etc. Like I just thought he put on a really, really great, you know, masterclass, honestly, and he did that against Messi, which I don't think many goalkeepers can say.
He did it against Messi 3 times, like 3 quality efforts and no penalty, no foul. Yeah. They were clean. He just beat the GOAT. Well, and if that doesn't get you a Budweiser,
and to finish Jen's sentence,
like I don't know why it's the other way around.
Yeah, it's
what I really appreciated was that his defensive line backed him up too. Because as somebody that did play keeper for a large part of my like soccer career, not that I was anything special, and then your back line doesn't back you up, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially, you know, if you're the keeper that's standing on his head and you're making 10, 12 saves a fucking game, which I was going to say, if I remember when we were playing Chicago Fire and I believe he was the keeper, and I think he literally had 10 saves in that particular match. He's an excellent keeper. So if you're the one that's standing on your head, but your back line is just letting all this shit come through, and that's why you're having to make 10 to 12 saves a game, that it feels like you're putting in an awful lot of fucking effort for nothing. So
I mean, just look at who they were playing though. Like that's the bottom line. Look at the talent they were, you know, they were up against. And it, you know, I mean, you know, absolutely. Again, I'm thrilled for Canada and thrilled for the show that we all got here.
Yeah, it seemed like a really good match to attend. It looked like Argentina, the supporters were out there in fucking force. And you know, Canada had some significant chances. They weren't slouches in that game. Argentina's the better team, and that's why they came out on top. But it looked like you guys had a good match.
I just really liked seeing Canada looking like they believed in themselves, which the longer the match went on and that 0-0 and Argentina, you know, you could tell how frustrated they were getting. And I think that that's a mentality that Marsh is bringing to the team. And I don't want to go on because I'm not really a Canada fan, but I do love international soccer. But I appreciated that match. I thought we got good quality. You don't always get that, especially when a match is anticipated to be lopsided. Yeah, I mean,
I think it's interesting that Argentina took to the airwaves to complain about the state of the pitch. More because they didn't really, I think the expectation was they were going to pound Canada into submission, and that didn't happen because Canada very clearly came to play. So what other excuse do you have for only beating Canada 2-0, right? I'm just...
Oh, so you're saying that because it wasn't a 7-0 obliteration, they're blaming the pitch.
I don't know why else they would come out and say something like that. Like, why would you go out there and just, you know, bash a stadium when you won the match in the first place? Makes no sense. Other than the expectation really was for you to come out there and, you know, basically have your way, like, you know, you paid for the $3 whore on the docks.
Yeah, but I do think, like, Jen, like, even though it was expected for them to come have their way, I'm not saying I liked the comments either. I mean, in fairness, I was not sitting in the 100s where I usually am. I was in the 200s. I was grateful to have the ticket that I did. It was a great view, but I wasn't right up on the grass. So some of the complaints that they made seemed like it was maybe something you need to be a little closer to see, though some people have reported they saw stuff on television. I don't know. I know that the Benz has always maintained its conditions in the best way possible, and I know that they had to lay down that grass quickly. I'm curious to see it myself on Thursday for the U.S. men's national team game, and I guess we'll all get to anybody who got a ticket for that. Maybe we'll get another look at it. But yeah, I mean, maybe Argentina is crying foul.
It's
just because they don't have any other excuses for why they
No,
let the weakling Canada, play man to man with them.
But I don't know what they're complaining so bad about, in the sense that, like, Jennifer, I'm sorry, that was a funny comment. I don't know what they're complaining so much about. Canada played really well. They still won. They still had two very, really good goals. Messi had some really good chances. He didn't finish them. I can't. They still fucking won. What are they complaining about? Like, it's. I don't know. It's quite bizarre in my mind that they needed to make such a stink about it at all. I'm like, look, you won.
What was really interesting to me about that too is that I hear your sentiment. I think it's a lot of why do you need to be a sore winner? Like, that's kind of the word.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but on top of that, honestly, I think that some of it is that they do expect to go out there and just obliterate everybody. And the really sad thing about that, and this I lost my train of thought, but this is what I wanted to say. What's really sad about Argentina making such a big deal about the pitch and not focusing on the win is that, from what I understand, this was one of the first times that Argentina has won the opening match of an international tournament in some time. So that should have really been like a celebration, in my opinion, even if it's against.
They're just focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah. So
just entirely. And I was watching one of the Euro matches that was playing, being played in Germany. I can't remember which stadium, but I mean, there was a point where it was a perspective where the camera was looking like from like right next to the goal, looking up pitch. So it's like kind of like, I wish I could describe what that perspective would be called, but I saw, as the players are coming towards the camera, he goes to do a cross. I think it might have been just Italy today, but he goes to kick the ball across, and as he does, this big patch of turf that's attached basically on the underside of his boot just gets kicked up into the air. And I mean, it was 6 inches long, this big, huge patch of turf. And that's in Germany, where they play entirely, as far as I know, entirely on grass, because that's, the Europe, and they're snooty about that. So to say, to say, I don't buy it. I'm not a player, but I don't buy it. There's always some fucking excuse for why things aren't the way that you want them to be. You know what? Fucking play better. Okay?
Have you guys heard anything from Canada about this? Because that's the other side of it I think I'd want to examine, is if anybody would complain, if it was truly terrible, you'd think it'd be the losing team.
Right, not the winning team.
Well,
now
finish your shots better. Like, Messi missed 3 times. They didn't go in.
Canada's more used to, I don't know. I mean, and I would think they'd have more turf, right? I know Vancouver Stadium is turf, right? Like a lot of those up there, because it's cold.
Yeah.
So I think this is actually a really good segue into some of the takes from the DC match that we want to get into, because oh my God, we won a road game. It's who'd have thunk it?
But before we do, let's thank Mason Mill, because they are the ones that keep us going. They're the people that help to keep us doing what we do here. And we have to, things are changing all over the place. We've got changes happening to Atlanta United. We've got changes happening across the Copa and into Europe because there's just different rules that are taking place, and there's changes at Mason Mill. We had to say goodbye to our lovely Dr. Farisi this week because he has decided to go back to Life University and to teach, and we wish him nothing but luck there. But we love everybody at Mason Mill, and so we're welcoming back Dr. Miner, who previously practiced at Sherwood when it was called Sherwood, and then he left to do other things as well, and now he's back again. So we still think that they're the best. Doesn't matter who's there. They're a wonderful company. They will take care of you no matter what. Give them a call, 404-321-0082. Ashley or Rachel will answer the phone and take care of you. They can pretty much take you on the day, or they'll take appointments, and they accept most insurance plans. And they are not a practice that is, you're not a number to them. They take care of you every single time. They know you by name. They know what's going on with you, and they will always listen and take care of you. So
they also have convenient Saturday hours for those of you with crazy schedules.
That's right. That's right. They're closed Sunday and Mondays, which is really good. So if anybody works, crazy ass hours like we do, then you can always get in there. So go and see them should you need chiropractic care, and we believe that everybody does. Now, that being said, I needed some care after the DC match because I chewed off every single one of my fingernails because I wanted that win so badly. And I loved what they even said yesterday at the end of the match on Saturday, was that once again we are undefeated under Rob Valentino. And I'm like, yeah, a win and 2 draws. One of them is on the road. I mean, come on. It's, I'm struggling to find it to be the worst news I've ever heard. It's obviously not the best news.
I think given the circumstances, this is kind of best case scenario, right?
It is.
And we're gonna get into that.
I mean, ecstatic scenario would have been that we won all 3 of these matches.
Well, the reality is these 3 matches should have been winnable matches, and you can look at it from the other side, and you look at where both of those, where Houston, where DC, where Seattle, where St. Louis. I'm going to call them Seattle all night. I'm sorry, because everything that I have heard about the St. Louis experience has just been phenomenal. Everybody was talking about how great and welcoming the St. Louligans were, the STL Punks, and all the assorted other supporter groups, and the stadium experience is just really, really cool. So I don't mean to cast aspersions.
No, and they came having them come off the Cinderella year, the unicorn year that they had last year. The fact that they're not necessarily going to keep that up, and I think we all kind of knew that. But if they are going to keep up that same environment, and they're going to keep up that attitude, and they're going to have a good culture moving forward, then that's great for that city and that's great for that team. I'm never gonna look down my nose at something like that. So that's great. And I don't know what kind of a presence we had.
Over 350 supporters traveled,
and that's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
that's absolutely great that people were able to do.
I think that was,
and
I find it hard to hate a stadium that has basically a built-in dog pen. You can bring your dog to the club. I mean,
really, that's so cool.
Purina's their sponsor, and they have
oh yeah,
you
that's
can bring
true.
your dog, and you fill out a form. I don't know all the specifics. I just saw the dogs on TV, and that was fun.
You can so let me get this straight. It's like a dog park. You can bring your dog to the match, sign them into the dog park essentially, and then go watch the match and maybe pick them up after the game. It's kind of like doggy babysitting.
It looked like almost like it's kind of, they might have that too, but what I saw almost looked like a mini suite. Like it was like you and your puppy got to sit together in the little mini suite. And it's probably a club experience or something. I always like Bark at what it was, but I saw the dogs and I thought that was really
well. If you have one of those little yappy dogs, you can probably afford the Sweet Life experience anyway.
Potentially true.
I'll say that from my experience too. I do a lot of just collecting, MLS collecting. Some of the nicest people I've met in MLS collecting are St. Louis fans. A lot of guys I know that give out cards to kids, do a lot of different charitable things and stuff. So I'm glad to hear that they were welcoming. Though I'm totally fine with stealing a point So I would have loved to have stolen more.
Yeah, I some of the I haven't actually in my illustrious career as a Atlanta United supporter, I have never been to an away match, and I said that this year was going to be the year. I know, stop.
This
I
is
said
me
that
with
this
my
was,
complete.
how do you not know that? We've talked about this
It
though. I
blows
told you
my
that
mind
this
that
year,
8 years of this and you've never been out of town for a match. Like, that's not
but
okay.
because I have 2 young children and I have a full-time
Blah
job and
blah
I find it
blah.
really difficult so what did I tell you? I said when Charlotte when Charlotte became a team, that's 3 hours away. So that is far, far easier. And Nashville as well. Those are much easier because what did we have before
Well,
that?
fuck you, Orlando.
Orlando?
Yeah,
Exactly. And why would I want to go to
you wouldn't.
Orlando? I'd
Or
I'd rather
DC and
watch us.
Orlando was like it in terms of distance, right?
Right.
They're about
So
equivalent.
I'd rather stay here in Atlanta and watch us beat them from the safety of my couch.
I don't blame you.
So
Nobody wants to go to Orlando.
but originally because I was 8 when I moved here, but I am originally from Charlotte. So I would actually very much like to, and I also love anything that is like a soccer only stadium. Like I really love that, and it's open, and like I really want to go there. Don't get me wrong. It's just one of those. I said this was going to be the year, and then here's the other thing. I want to go and see a good match. I don't want to do all this and spend the time and the money and the planning if it's not going to be, if we're not in a good place right now. We're making this shit up as we go. If we win, fucking A, that's great. If we draw, oh my God, I'm ecstatic. And if we even just put up a good fight and still lose, we're happy. We're like kind of happy right now because this is not a state of normalcy is all I'm saying. Like, I don't want to spend the time and the money and the planning to go watch a game where we're going to go get obliterated, or I'm not watching us at our full strength.
I mean, that's totally fair, but this goes back to me owning my spoiled bratness that Frank DeBoer so graciously bestowed on us. And you gotta suffer, and some of that suffering, I get. Like, you can't.
I can suffer on my couch.
It's more fun to honestly. It's even because I've been to a bunch of away matches. It is obviously it is amazing when we win, and being in the building when Joseph breaks the MLS season scoring record in front of like your most hated rival at the time. That was pretty freaking epic. But like
I'll say that the one away that I did outside of like Nashville or Charlotte was the first away I did, which was to Dallas, and we lost, and it was still one of the best times. And that was the game that we were up, like, I don't know, by 3 goals, and in the last 15 minutes
back
and up 4. And
I remember that match. Oh, what a nightmare that was.
And that was our first away,
that.
That was my son's first away too. He was like 7.
Yeah. Glenn's been to Montreal twice, and both times he said that it's been absolutely an amazing. They're so welcoming. It's such a great stadium, and they're so just nice, because Canadians are just generally nice, I think.
Yes.
But they just are. So don't get me wrong. I would love to. I just have different priorities right now.
That's totally fair.
It's still 100% on my list of things to do. I think honestly the place where I would like to go the most is Nashville because of the culture and the music and the everything there. I just don't have time. It can't. Maybe I could do Charlotte up and back in a day, but that's an entire day that I'm taking away from my family and I'm taking away from my job. It's it's just
Kat, I'm propositioning you because we will have a Charlotte up and back bus. And hey, if you're part of a supporters group, please turn your surveys in. Please fill out your survey. Please do your interest survey so that we can best serve you here. That bus is you should just take the Charlotte bus up and back on the Sunday because it's going to be super. It's going to be. I'm sorry. It's a Saturday the 31st. Yes, I know it's Dragon Con weekend, but I also know you don't go to Dragon Con. I don't think you're going to Black Gay Pride, and I don't think you're going to the Chick-fil-A kickoff. So
But what do I do on Saturdays?
Well, this is where you have to bribe the wife.
I work is what I'm trying to tell
Well,
you.
this is where
I'd have to get that day off. No. I know.
Anyway, bottom line, we're going to talk about that. Yeah. And
so speaking of DC, because that's actually another one where I was like, I don't know if I would ever want to. I want to go to DC because we always seem to fight so fucking hard when we have to go away to DC, and that's.
I think one of the things, and this is, I'm not Glenn. I'm just, where is Glenn this week, by the way? Where is Glenn? Did we figure that out yet?
Oh, yeah. He's in Switzerland watching the Euros.
Did you just say Switzerland?
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Is that the same as, is that the same as Yav VR from Sweden?
He's skiing in the Alps.
He's skiing.
Don't eat the yellow snow is what I heard.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I'm not we're not really as adept as Glenn or observational as Glenn is in terms of writing the takes. And I kind of going back through and looking at the takes of these two matches, like they're all kind of saying the same thing. And I feel kind of,
but we kind of are in that right now. It's okay. We're in a state of non-normalcy. I mentioned that already. So I
feel like we're like in,
we have to take everything at face value.
Yeah. And I feel like we're in survival mode. Right?
A little bit.
Would you buy into that, Amy? Are we in survival mode right now?
Survival mode. I mean, honestly, the thing that I've seen over the last couple of matches that's very refreshing and makes me feel like maybe there's a chance that we're not just surviving, that maybe we are reviving, right? Is to see, and I know you have a couple takes about this, how much our academy is coming through, right? And I was thinking about this a lot, and soccer really is a team sport. Like, there's 11 guys that got to work together on the field. And what I think we're seeing with the combination of Valentino, with all of these years being around these kids, being around the team, being around the culture, and then these homegrowns that are getting these opportunities and shining, is the result of those players getting to play together so much growing up. I think Efrain Morales talked about that after the match, that it really wasn't his first time. He's been playing with these guys since he was 11, 12 years old, et cetera. And that gives me a lot of optimism, and especially seeing the performance that I hope I'm not, you know what? Am I allowed to give my low-key man of the match?
You can give your low-key man of the match. We can just...
Yeah, now's as good a time as any, Amy.
So seeing the shift that Jay Fortune put in, right? Mm-hmm. Being another young kid, right? That's on our team that is really making a strong argument for minutes. To me, he was my low-key man of the match for St. Louis. Some of the tackles, some of the dribbles, some of the passes that he put together, that shot that he missed by an inch.
That was inches away. Inches.
That thing had no spin. It was all power. That was a fucking rocket. Holy shit. I wish he'd gotten it.
And I think that he seems to be soaking up every ounce of, wisdom that, Dax maybe has to dole out, or anybody has to dole out, while still playing his own game, right? And he's watching Muyumba, he's watching Almada, he's watching McCarty, etc. And you see all of that. He moved around a lot during that match. He and Muyumba in the St. Louis match, when McCarty came in, I think they were starting to lose it in the midfield, but there were moments in the match when the two of them really controlled it. And when McCarty came on, it just made it even better. But for me, just seeing the performance from our center backs, right? Seeing Noah Cobb, seeing Efrain Morales performing next to Williams, and then looking, of course, at what Wiley's been doing for forever, but now Jay Fortune coming into it. We went into that match down so many players, down on our, and DC, yeah, we still had Almada and we had to rely on a moment of brilliance from him, but we don't get there if our homegrowns don't step up and keep holding it down for what was really a grind against DC.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that, like what you said, is that these kids, or they're these young men, but as kids they were playing together and growing up together and everything like that. And what I think is so great is that we're seeing them. They grew up together, but now we're actually able to watch them come into their own and physically, and actually mature on the field as we're watching them. They're coming into their own game. And maturing into their own skill right there in front of our eyes. And it's you get a little bit of that when you go to the twos, but you really get to see it on this huge, unbelievable grand scale when they're playing next to the starting guys, to the first team, and that you bring in these kids and you watch them take everything that they've worked so hard for and apply it. And there have been very few times where it hasn't worked out.
That was take number 3 from the St. Louis match. And again, I know that there's a lot of people that aren't super front office supportive, and there's other people that, are looking all these different places for excuses. But the bottom line is we're missing 7 starters. We're missing 7 starters right now for various and sundry reasons, international call-ups, being sold, blah, 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 whatever. The only reason we are in this match is because of the quality and the depth of the academy right now.
Both matches.
Really, both matches. You're not wrong. And at what point in time do we give that credit to the front office and what they've built here? Because it does start from the top down. And
I would say right now we're doing it right now. We have to.
Have we?
I hope that somebody else does.
The other thing that I think is really telling to me, and what I've really appreciated, at least so far, in most of the guys that we've gotten to see for any significant amount of time, and based on what I hear, from my friends that go to the twos, what I'm seeing and what I really like is that it's not just that our academy product is performing. They seem to all be very mature and very grounded and very professional. And that doesn't happen overnight, especially for, a young professional athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like Noah Cobb is playing like level. He is a 26-year-old veteran right now. I mean, I saw Derek Williams in the St. Louis match make the most beautiful, sweeper move to block a goal very early on in the game. But later that same match, I saw Noah Cobb do basically almost like a mirror of that same thing, and so I like to see that our academy is producing, but they're also producing a lot of guys that seem like they're really professionals. And, you don't always see that. There is a lot of, immaturity. Early on, some of the products that came out of our academy, I'll just say, were not as mature, right, is what I'm seeing.
It didn't always work. Yeah, it didn't always work out. Yeah. Looking at you, Andrew Carlton.
Yeah.
The big fat elephant. the big fat elephant in the room. Yeah.
I honestly wonder too, like, and this is just a joke, but I wonder if, like, over at the academy, if it's like, have you ever seen the players, if you've ever watched football, you ever seen the players that go through the Notre Dame tunnel, and as they come down, there's the steps, there's the thing that says play like a champion today, and all the players always hit that when they go down. I wonder if there's one at the academy that says, don't forget your fucking passport.
Wow. Yes.
Because I can't think of a greater piece of advice than that.
Yeah.
As a young player coming up with the first team.
As someone who has in fact forgotten their passport before, I can tell you right now that that's a complete and that's the worst kind of rookie mistake you can make. So,
but in all honesty, if we're going to praise the front office, like, just to finish that out, it's not just the academy, but our depth signings that we've had. Rios and TRA have been massive for us. No, have they been like 90-minute, wonder kids? Have they made us not need a true number 9, or 90-minute 9, etc. Maybe not, but you can't understate the value that we've gotten out of those signings. So, that's all I'm saying. Like, if you're going to praise the front office, I want to look at both the academy and I want to look at all the off-season signings. I want to look at how much success we've had there, and that those key signings, Dax McCarty, right?
Yeah.
Derek Williams off of waivers or whatever it was that we picked Derek Williams off of. I mean, how huge has he been?
Oh yeah.
Rios and TRA have both contributed, and I think Rios brings a lot of attitude, and TRA runs. And they seem to both really care and actually want to be there and play. And that goes a long way.
Those are all they're by signings.
that are keeping us
Yeah.
in this too,
That's
along with
that's
that.
a really good
Exactly.
point that you bring up, Amy, about caring and wanting to be there. And
Yeah.
there are takes from both matches that are kind of in that same vein. I'm going to read them both to you guys because I feel like they're super relevant, and this is how we're going to tie in my little Twitter fest today that I went on. So the take from DC was, this is the kind of match that most of the year this team couldn't have ground out. The back half of the season won't be good for anyone's blood pressure, but this kind of gritty win is the thing that we've been missing all year. Maybe now that certain prima donnas aren't locker room cancer, we can get the soul of this team back. The parallel take, the similar take from the St. Louis match was take 2. In the same vein, the lads showed a lot of heart and guts, and it really makes you wonder how much of the last 2 months was a distraction we didn't hear any at all about.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no denying that. And it's, we were a little bit concerned, Glenn mentioned it once or twice too, about like, is it the Valentino effect? Are we going to have that? Are we because we did that after Heinze left, we did that after De Boer left. Are we going to have that sort of honeymooning period where we're just, because of this big grand change, are we going to experience a bit of a low or a bit of a super high? And then are we going to ride this wave? How is it going to be?
Do you think Gigi was the problem? Do you think he was the distraction? Do you think that because we've talked we lost 5 straight at home. We were on like an
I don't think we
11
can blame it on any
winless
one
streak.
thing.
That was my point. We couldn't blame it on any one thing. But
right.
in that 2-month time frame, we went from 12-man podcast where Gigi's all 24/7, I am in it for the crest, I'm gonna live and die by this, right? To all of a sudden he's out the door in a very savvy and good business deal for him and for the club. Like nobody's, like nobody's mad about the deal, but the way that it went down, the all the things that he said, the leadership position that he was taking in this locker room, where a lot of people made an argument at the beginning of the season that he should wear the armband. And we go on a 2-month disappearing act streak while he is apparently negotiating with Cruz Azul. Do you want to tell me that was locker room cancer, or do you want to say, no, it was something else entirely?
No, and I'll tell you what, I don't believe in coincidences. I think that there are things that happen for a reason. I think there are things that happen that just seem to coincide, but that are not an actual coincidence. Is it a factor? Was Gigi's, all of that stuff, was it a factor? Abso-fucking-lutely. Was Pineda a factor? Of course. It's not an argument. There's no argument to be made there. We obviously
Amy's over here about to spit some nails. I think she's got an argument to make.
Look, as the self-proclaimed president of the Yako Stan Club in Atlanta, I just have to say that, like, I really am I'm stunned. I'm a little angry. I'm pretty salty.
Oh, we were a lot angry.
I'm not sure that I'm ready quite yet to say that there was some toxicity going on in the locker room. I'll say that as much as y'all were ready to push the Pineda button between the two of them, I would much rather still have Pineda here that seemed to want to be here and cared and all this kind of stuff. If in fact there was some toxic things going on, right? Get rid of Gigi, if that was the problem. My bigger issue is really not like, I've been a fan, I've been a founding member since day one, like I own every kit Atlanta United's ever produced. I don't put a lot of guys on my kits, and when I have, it's been Guzan, it's been Robinson, right? It's been guys that have, in my opinion, demonstrated that they're there, at least at the time that I decided it, right? That they were there for the badge, they were there long term, they were, and I mean, obviously Guzan is ATL legend #1, but we'll come back to that another time.
Yeah.
So for me, what I saw in Yako, I mean, his presence, the way that he played, the way that he spoke, he came in, the way that the front office promoted him and bought into it and really made you believe, hey, this guy is like, you didn't think we could replace Joseph? Look at this guy. He's setting records like Joseph. He's playing hard like this. He's talking the talk. he did everything but, Atlanta es familia, right?
Yeah, everybody wanted it so badly,
So
too.
so he goes on the Twelman podcast and he talks so much about how he wanted to live in Atlanta, it'd be a beautiful place to raise his family, how good the city's been, how much he
So
wants
much
to
bullshit.
produce, etc. Now listen, if he just got an offer he couldn't refuse from Cruz Azul, all right? Which arguably, from everything that's been reported, that may be what this is, right? A $10 million transfer, a substantial increase in salary, and signing through 2028, especially if we weren't going to put that kind of deal on the table. That is life-changing. That is your family, right? And I will say this
it's
about
where you
Jaco.
finish out. Yeah, you could finish out your career and be done.
Yeah, I will say this about Jaco. I 100% do believe that he is family first. Okay, like I buy that part of what he was putting out. Okay, and a guy like that is just not going to turn down a deal like that, right?
No,
My problem is that I don't feel like I don't know how to say it. Like on the way out, you can't even say, listen, thank you so much, fans. Like, this was amazing. This was this was just an opportunity that I couldn't turn down, but I've loved my time here, etc. I saw the
we didn't even get that
apology or the piddly thank you that he put on
a week later.
X
A week later. That's what I posted today. He posted that Insta post a week after the deal was announced.
He posted
probably because he heard all of the fucking shit that everybody was giving him about it.
Listen, I unfollowed him.
He was trying to save face.
I unfollowed him. He waited so long to put that out that I finally just stopped following him. And then I found out today because of you, Jen, that he put the thank you up.
Yeah.
And that's just telling, like 7 whole days. And it wasn't even just that he didn't say goodbye. Like I could even understand that if he was like radio silent, waiting for the medical, whatever. Maybe you're a superstitious person. There are all kinds of reasons that I could come up with that wouldn't make me feel bitter like I do, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what happened.
It felt like all of it was bullshit.
I'm so happy to be here. I mean, it was like
it felt like all of it was bullshit.
Yeah,
all of it
felt like he paid for a 1-year sponsorship, and at midnight he flipped the panel, and it was just on to the next.
Yeah, and I've said it on several different of our pods lately, which is that this city loves a franchise man. We love people who play for the badge. And if you come in here and you make it seem like all you care about is money, we will fucking write you off like that because we don't care.
No. I'm going to stop you for 1 second because that is not true. If you're here for the money and you say that you're here for the money, we'll respect you for that because it's on it.
Who are you talking about? Who said that?
Trae Young.
Who?
Trae Young.
Yeah.
I don't follow basketball, so fine. If you're telling me that that's the truth, then I'll believe you. I have not experienced that in my opinion, in my 20 years in this, 25 years watching
baseball,
sports in this state. Well, I was going to say sports in this state. I haven't seen somebody come straight out and just say I'm only here for the money. But
actually, I got a real good one for you, Kat. Because he had to, because he was obligated to. One, Mr. Tommy Glavine.
Oh well, yeah.
He did not have a choice. He was the head of the players union. He had to go and be an example, right? And he had to take the money and run, right? Everybody knew that's why he left, right? Yes. No one treats Tommy Glavine any differently.
But how long? Again, though, but he earned the accolades and the love and the appreciation from the fans that he already got. How long was he here before he had to leave?
Well, I mean,
Gigi hasn't even been here an entire year.
I guess the way you need to look at that is, what did the Mets fans do when they got Tom Glavine? They embraced him. They loved him because he was Tom Glavine and they knew he was there for the money and not because he wanted to be. And again, it's that level of honesty. Right.
No, and I get that. But we're not on the receiving end of the player coming in. We're not Cruz Azul. We're on the end, and we're the players that are going, well, wait a second. Wait just a fucking second. What the fuck did you say? Like Amy said 2 months ago, you're sitting here telling us about you're blowing sunshine and rainbows up everybody's ass about how much you want to be here, and then all of a sudden you start playing like shit. The whole fucking thing goes to absolute fucking hell, and then at the end of it, the result is you leave. Yeah, I don't blame Amy for being pissed.
And,
I don't
and
blame
honestly,
anybody for
like
being
I
pissed.
would love to be a fly on the wall and understand what went down truly behind the scenes, because I mean, I'm not saying that our front office is perfect, right? But normally when they start to push a guy like that, it's because he's going to be here a little while. He's bought in. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they give ads to Miles, they give ads to Goose, like
Mhm.
those kind of guys are the ones that get that kind of feel. You make a t-shirt for Joseph, I thought, because, he's special, right? And so the way that the front office bought in, it just seemed like, especially with like the long-term signing of Schlitz,
Mhm.
with the long-term signing of Gregerson, right? With what Garth has talked about in terms of building stability, building a team of guys, that I get the impression Garth wants guys that mostly want to be here, right? That's what
Mhm.
Seattle
Yeah.
does. You have an occasional guy you sell on, but you build your academy, which we've all just praised, right?
Mhm.
And then you do these core franchise signings, and you build a little bit around that, right? That's why
Yeah.
Seattle had Nico Ladero. That's why they had, Ozzy Alonso. Like, you know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
felt to me like everything from the front office promotion to Gigi's promotion of himself to everything just seemed like stars aligned. I can't believe they actually signed a guy that somehow met some of Joseph's records, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a million years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We all really, really wanted to get behind this guy because it seemed like you said, stars
Yeah.
aligning, that this was the guy. This was the guy. You wanted to put they did. They kind of paraded him around as if this was the guy. This was the new guy. He was going to be the face of the franchise along with all these other signings because we were willing to sign these longer contracts
Yeah.
and we wanted it. We all needed that so badly. I do think the front office recognized that they had to find that guy.
And I
We
think
needed
they
the
did, but I
face.
also think the really, really smart business here was given, the unfortunate situation with the various and sundry different injuries, contact injuries. They weren't muscle pulls and things like that. These were, hard playing injuries. You don't get a bone bruise from, pulling up and stepping wrong on the turf, right? All that being said, and the way things went down with Joseph, I can't blame the front office for not taking a 4-season flyer on a marquee player who is about to start pushing 30, right?
Mhm.
When you're in a league that's got a cap, you don't know what sort of new flexibility, blah blah blah, whatever, that seems to have flashes of it coming, but the bottom line is, in MLS your DPs have to play, and if your DPs do not play, you cannot contend. So
Yeah.
I don't blame, again, my whole thing is whoever, either Gigi or Gigi's social media team or whoever handles Gigi's media presence, all I'm saying is they failed. They failed because the guy
Yeah,
could have left here with no hard feelings. All it would have taken is
absolutely.
one little Instagram post the day you
Yeah.
signed.
Just
A
real
hundred
much just
percent.
yeah,
A
much better
100%. I
communication
wouldn't have
from all the
resigned my
parties.
commission from the GG Stan Club had he done that. Genuinely. And
Yeah.
I think that we've demonstrated as a fan base. I mean, think about the guys that we still love to the end of the earth that took deals in other places for various reasons. Looking at
That's a
you,
very good
Darlington
point.
Nagbe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Julian
Look
Gressel.
at
Like,
Justin Miram.
you
Like,
can
he played
be
for
a
us for
five
one
stripe
season
for
and
life.
everybody loves him.
Yeah, you can be a five stripe for life if you just do just the littlest bit to just say, okay, I enjoyed my time here and I took
Right.
this thing and I get it, but
I
farewell.
appreciate that you cared. Thank you for caring. I recognize
Yeah.
that you did. You invested in me. Here's just some sort of lip service showing that I maybe, even if it's not what really happened, but I might have a little bit invested in you too.
I do, because you've given me this microphone and I did warn you at the beginning of this, Jen, for doing this. I do want to just put out a little something that I may get roasted for, but it also made me a little bit sad that he was a guy, the first guy in quite some time that we did a chant for, and he's gone.
That's true.
And I'm just going to say that there are some guys that have been doing a lot for our team for a lot for more time than Gigi was, that don't always get all the accolades and laurels, and maybe we could do a chant for one of those guys or do something to just kind of get this bad Yakko taste out of our mouths. Um, That's
Yeah,
just my
it
one
just
request. And I say that with all sincerity, realizing that it's not that easy
No.
and that I can go submit my own, submission and all of the things. And I probably will actually, after this podcast, have to go try to put my money where my mouth is. But it just made me a little extra level sad, if that makes
yeah.
sense. Like it was
No,
like,
everything surrounding it just
yeah.
feels pretty bitter. It feels like a slap in the face in a lot of ways, just because the whole thing was handled very, very poorly by a lot of different people, GG included.
And I really like the
So,
song. I really like the
I
stupid
know.
song. I was all in on the stupid
It
song.
was a fun chant.
It
I sang it
was.
on
Alright.
Fox National Television, Jen. Remember that
So
thing? It would
so
be like
moving
Moving right along.
moving on. So he is exited now. And since then, some positives have taken place.
so many.
I think what we can, let's look to the future. Let's look to the future
Sure.
because clearly we've proven also on this podcast that the children are our future. And so this was take number 4, and I think this is a good final topic to chew on here, right?
Okay.
We are still, this was take number 4 from St. Louis. We are still
Yes.
capable of being a surprise this season. We're not out of this yet. 4 out of 6 points on the road. Who even is this team? And
yeah,
zombie Atlanta, here we come. Because if we're gonna do it, we're gonna have to do it on the road. We're gonna have to do everything the hard way, right?
Well, we said that before too, that every single game, every single match from here to the end of this season is going to be a dogfight. And if we don't put that out, if we don't come out and just be fucking scrappy all match long, we will lose. It is that simple. And that'll be the end of it for this season.
And as of right now, we're sitting above the playoff line. Last time we checked. So Amy, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because, are you of the subscription that, to make the playoffs in MLS, all you have to do is breathe? Is it worth putting the effort in? Or do you still keep looking ahead at tournaments that are probably far more winnable than MLS Cup?
I would say that by definition, a zombie at one point was not breathing. And at one point, it kind of felt like we weren't breathing. So if being above the playoff line is breathing, I think that's first step to being zombie Atlanta. And, is it basically, in my opinion, a little bit unacceptable to not make the playoffs with this kind of roster, with the kind of talent, with all that kind of stuff together? I do. But at the same time, I don't want to be, overly critical of a team that is, maybe starting to show some signs of being a zombie, or heck, a phoenix, right? Maybe that'll be the next step.
Whoa!
And
dude, you're just blowing my mind here with all your. Wow.
No, that was good. That was very
really good.
That was really good. I'm not gonna lie. That's like, did you plan that a little bit? That was good. No, that one was good.
But we
are in a state of turmoil. We are in a little bit of a state of turmoil in the sense that we're, whatever amount, weird amalgamation of team that we are right now, focusing on the positives are kind of all we've got. If we know what the negatives are, we're facing them every single day. We've been facing them for 2 months. So,
and I think there are a lot of guys on that pitch that have proven to us that they are worth rooting for, they're worth backing, they're worth us investing some belief into, and just seeing where this thing goes, from Rob Valentino, who against all odds continues to be undefeated as interim, head coach, to Derek Williams, who has been incredible this season, to guys like Brooks Lennon, who I cannot sing the praises of, more. I mean, you're looking at a lot of these guys, and I mean, honestly, I struggle. I'd like to name the whole team to think of a guy that I saw on the field the last 2 games that I can't pull for.
The great thing about playing the kids, the great thing about playing the young kids is they don't know that they're not supposed to be there. They're not jaded. They're not, oh, we're bucking all these expectations, blah, blah, blah. They don't hear it. They're just, there is something to the idea of just being happy to be there and playing with joy and abandon. I think,
just playing your heart
yeah.
out. Yeah, absolutely.
Playing for love, for love of the game, which,
for love of the game.
we love the game. We're here talking about the game. We love the game. So, I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm going to need a lot more liquor to get through this season. I can't speak for the rest of you.
Right.
But yeah, it's gonna be wild. I mean, but I am, I guess, nothing if not entertained by, at least it's entertaining again, right? It was not.
You know why I think it's entertaining?
Why?
A little bit, because we don't know what's going to happen next week. It's become completely unpredictable now, because I think for a while, when we were on that stretch of five losses at home, were we not just expecting another fucking shitty ass shoe to drop every week? It just felt like we kept, until Pineda left, we were just waiting for, when is Pineda going to get fired? What is it going to take? And it just kind of felt like we were hurtling towards oblivion. And now we've reached that point. And so now we're going forward having absolutely no idea what's going to happen from week to week. Every single, you and I were looking at that lineup, and I was like, I haven't seen, when was the last time we played two strikers up front? By the way, and I'm going to admit, this is one of Amy's points earlier, Rios and TRA as a dual striker team, or as individuals, the best backup strikers we've had when we don't have our starting striker that we've ever had. Agreed?
We are a far.
Obviously,
the bar was
it's not a hard argument. It's not a hard argument. It's not a difficult.
When the bar has been set by Miguel Berry and Kubo Whiff Torres.
Yes. Or even like Adam Jean and like things like that. I'm just saying, when we had, or Jackson Conway. I'm just saying, when we didn't have our starting
striker. Car ride to Jen. That's great. All guys.
I like Cisneros. I actually did like Cisneros.
I mean, he did score a hat trick once.
He did. I did. No, you're right. But I still think those guys, more quality, more consistent quality. So yeah, I'm just saying. But yeah, I just think that we're going into it every week just not knowing what's going to happen. And at least, like you said, it's making it entertaining. It's I wouldn't say it's necessarily joyous and fun, because we're still kind of like,
nothing about the rest of this season is going to be joyous and fun. We had our chance for joyous and fun.
That's over.
That's over now. It's going to be hard liquor and 3 a.m. walk of shame. That's what we're in for.
Yeah, you've taken your heels off. You're holding them in your arm, wrapped over your jacket. You got the
makeup smeared all over your face, and your hair's all messy. Right. And this is what we're going to look like after every match this season. Right. It's going to be.
Or if you're a dude, you've just thrown the tie over your shoulder, and half of the shirt is tucked in, the other half isn't. You've got one pant leg is rolled all the way up.
I'm quite partial to the lads when they roll up the one pant leg. I wish more of them would do that. Oh yeah, I'm kind of talking to the wrong audience for that, aren't I?
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, no.
Anyway,
is that another old people?
I thought people did that. I thought they did that when they rode bikes, so that
I don't know, but Aruju did it all the time. He would have like the one, and Tito did it too. Tito would have like the one pant leg rolled all the way up to like the crotch line.
Check out my thigh.
I mean, I'm not mad at that.
You like the short shorts is what you're trying to say.
Unless it's Tito, I don't want to see it. Well, unless it's Tito's thighs, I'm not
okay, you know what? You'd look at Giroux's thighs, so don't you lie. I'm still sad we already played LAFC. Anywho.
I know.
Look.
I want to say something. I want to say one other thing, too. I'm sorry, Amy. I know you were about to say something. We haven't done that. Have you noticed that? We're a club that's been here for 8 years. We could have potentially gone out and brought in a flashy name. I thought that maybe is what we were going to do before we got Gigi. I thought maybe it was a potential that they might bring in somebody for a year, like Giroux, and just show him off. Just being like, look, here's this flashy, fun little thing that we have, but we haven't done that because it's just not our style. And I just want to throw that out there, that I appreciate that we haven't done that. As much as maybe I would love to have the big meaty French forehead playing for us, I just don't think that that's who we are as a club. And I still, the fact that we still are sticking to that we have our culture and that the front office seems to want to adhere to that. I have some respect for that is all I'm saying.
I think I saw today a rumor though, but it's probably nothing, about us potentially trying to sign the striker from Newcastle, right?
Yes. That's
And
got
do
some
you feel
legs.
like
That
that would
was
be
that a
kind of the
Fabrizio?
signing
That's
in
a
that vein?
Fabrizio drop, I thought.
Which one?
Yeah,
Isak or oh no,
it
you're
was
talking about Ivan
Ramon.
Toney?
No,
Yeah.
Callum
Callum Wilson?
Yes, that guy.
Oh,
one.
really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
that was an interesting rumor.
I don't know if
saw.
that's the same line as like trying to sign Messi or Giroud.
Probably not the
or,
same.
you know,
Yeah, you're right.
Jordan, you know, the you know,
You're
the
talking
Miami.
like the Insignes, the all of those kind of guys.
The Dembélés and the and who scored against us 3 times from DC.
I mean, we did sign a Pogba, but it was the other one. So
It was not the right Pogba.
Brother.
And he was great. And he was great when he was.
He was. I know Florian. Yeah, no, he was good. No. I liked him. I liked him a lot. Yeah, no, I just don't think that's just not who we are as a club. And I don't know. I'm not saying it'll never happen, but I just think it's interesting that every time we've needed to replace somebody up front, like we haven't done that. And I just think.
Well, I think
I kind of
it was
like
Ciaran Kelly who I think dropped the rumor on it. It was Ciaran Kelly
Mm-hmm.
is who not just to not give any more credence. It's a rumor and it's about to be silly season. I don't know that that type of signing. I feel like this team would pull like something like LAFC did with going out and getting a Gareth Bale who wants who would put the team over the top, right? But wouldn't necessarily be like the person that you're building a team around, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of like superstar signy deal that like I feel like the club would make. I don't know that they would go out. I mean, obviously if they could go out and get Messi, they would, but outside of a very, very few players.
They didn't go out and buy Zlatan.
No, and I wouldn't see them. I don't see them going out and getting a Modric or trying to get a couple more miles out of Ronaldo, right? Like I don't see them doing that unless it's like, oh, hey, we have a contender here. We need like one more like big depth superstar piece that would just be like a great super sub to put us over the top.
Yeah, something that provides something more than just goals, like something that can actually help to build the team back.
But I
up,
could
like
see them signing, a Callum Wilson that, most people really haven't necessarily heard of per se, unless you're a little deeper into your global footy, right? I could see them signing that type of player, right? From a
yeah, no, I see what you mean.
From that standpoint, that's just it's a little bit different than going out and getting a Giroud who is literally already as pretty as he is, he's off to pasture. You don't build a team around Giroud.
But Amy's right, and you're not gonna she doesn't think that this front office is gonna. What were you saying, Amy?
I'm not going to invest DP money, right, in that kind of piece. I just don't think our front office has done that, right?
No, and that's what I'm saying. I think we're smarter than that. Yeah. I think they're smarter than to do that. So looking ahead, because we don't know what's going to happen next week, we do know who we're playing, and we're playing Toronto, and they're just above us in the standings.
They also have just as many pieces out on international duty with Copa, and they don't have a prayer of getting any of them back.
No, and we're at home, which doesn't necessarily prove anything anymore, which I also think is interesting. Nothing makes sense anymore. We are in the upside down. But I like our chances against a beleaguered Toronto.
I would love our chances. I would love our chances on paper if every time we need something to happen versus Toronto, it went to Toronto. Like I just can't. I can't. They're up there with Columbus. Like they're tied, I think, with Columbus for the amount of shit that they have taken from us.
Absolutely. They're the reason why we didn't play in back-to-back MLS Cups. They're the reason why we didn't have a supporter shield.
Right.
And I blame a friend of mine who's a Canada supporter because he came and had beers with us and hexed us, I think, before one of those matches. He's been since banned from the stadium, just for what it's worth. You know,
Yeah,
but you're not right. But I actually think we do have a pretty good chance against Toronto, Jen. And I'll say that I really hope that I continue to see this 3 center back deal we've had going on. I feel like Wiley and Lennon seem so much more free to go find the game in this,
sure,
kind of position, even with the defensive responsibilities. But more importantly, it seems like Muyumba in particular, um, and especially when McCarty's there as well, they just seem to have more confidence in midfield that they can go and be a little more creative and kind of like it's like the 3 CBs is like a security blanket kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very active formation. I like that.
Yeah.
I think it shows a lot of trust in the back line, and they're just saying, "Hey, go out and do your job, and then we'll go and do ours."
It's interesting because I think we have always historically performed at our very best in the 5-3-2. Just saying. We won MLS Cup in a 3-5-2.
Yeah. I actually like it. In this circumstance, why not? Why not? I think it worked perfectly fine against St. Louis.
I also feel like Zonde has been a lot freer the last couple matches as well, especially today, against St. Louis, where you don't have Almada. I thought, he brought a lot of creativity as well as Jay Fortune and
agree.
stuff.
And we still need to continue. Yeah, we still need to continue moving forward as if we're not going to have Almada moving forward, because there is going to come a day when that's the case. So anything that we can do to, I love the fact that he can play through and he can still do his thing, but eventually there is going to come a time where
and I do want to give, I do feel like, and I think we can close on this. I want to give some snaps to Thiago. Everything that we said that, Gigi had been saying that we disliked about all of that, Thiago Almada has been saying the exact opposite of these things. He's been saying all the things that you want to hear from a guy who is supposed to mean this much to your club. So for a lot of you who felt like maybe Thiago was checked out, or Thiago doesn't want to be here, or he's mad that the offers from Europe haven't come in, nothing that Thiago is doing and nothing that he is saying publicly, should lead anybody to jump to that conclusion, right? Is he on the same kind of tear that he was on last year? No, unfortunately he's not, but nobody on this team was on that kind of tear anymore. So yeah.
I really it's not really don't get the Almada's checked out takes. Like if he was that kind of guy, when we didn't take a deal for him, last summer, and Garth publicly said, look, we're making space, we're making room. Like if he has to stay, he has to stay. Well, we've got it worked out to stay for another year. A guy like that could have been disgruntled. He could have been all kinds of things. He could be checked out. He could be more worried about being hurt than like performing. I haven't seen that out of Almada. I agree with you, Jen. I just will say though, I would really love for us to win a game without Almada, because I think the stats are something like 0-3-3 without him. Not to downplay the tie. It was huge. I'm happy with it. We needed the momentum. We talked a lot about, I heard you guys talk a lot about, momentum and like the state of the team, right? And that energy around it, over the year. And I feel like we finally have a little positive momentum, even if it wasn't a win. And it would be great to get Almada back. I think he's back this weekend.
Yes.
And then he'll be off, and send him off. I would love to send him off with a win to the Olympics and have him just tear it up at the Olympics and have us manage to win a game while he's gone.
I think it, look,
or without him, right?
I think this is the season where anything can happen and anything is possible, and who the hell knows. And on that note, we want to thank you very, very much for listening, and a little bit more than a power hour, but always good to catch up with both of you ladies. We also thank you for engaging with us on social media, even if I was acting like a 12-year-old today. I'm kind of sorry about that, but not really sorry at all because I think I was right. Anywho, I'm kidding. I'm really kidding. We just, whatever. We all have our feelings, and yeah, this has been complicated. Glenn, please come back from Switzerland and the Swedish meatballs and whatever. We miss you. We miss you bunches. Thank you as always to our sponsor, Mason Mill. We appreciate all that you guys do for us. Thank you for joining the Atlanta United Fan TV Discord. Still one of the more tame and calm, collected soccer conversations. Clearly better than I am on Twitter. And yeah, so we have a match on the 29th, and we will be back next week to talk about that and the week that was. Until then, y'all be good, and we will be back.
Meowski. See, that's why I wish the video was there, because that one had the extra boost if you'd been able to see it.